Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Kev Play. This is Kevin, and we are on episode 63 of The Last of Us Part 2. Um, Doing our no return blind mode. Just trying to find my chat here. Let's see. Alright, here we are. Yeah, so hello, Pelpa Pig from your iPhone. Yeah, so I didn't get to see the latest episode till last night. I got home yesterday, Saturday. It took us like an 8.5 hour drive across from North Carolina to back to New York. I'm back now. I needed like a day to settle in. I figured let me watch the episode last night. Did so. Give myself some time to, you know, absorb it. And I know we're cutting it close because the next episode's like in an hour or so. But thankfully with HBO, it's like you can watch it whenever you want. But if you feel the need to just jump into the next episode at some point, or whenever you're ready, or if you don't want to hang around, that's okay. Um, but for now, we'll get into what we do, and yeah, we'll get into the just for the sake that we're not talking about two episodes in one huge episode. I wanted to get this recorded today and then we'll do another episode probably pretty shortly because like tomorrow is Memorial Day for me, so I'm off, so I might be able to gather some thoughts, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. You said, dude, the episode starts. Um, you said, dude, the episode starts in like an hour. I know, but it starts and it's like you can watch it whenever you want. But again, um, you can if you want to duck out of this at any point to watch, you feel free. Because I feel like we usually go like an hour and a half on these. Let's check out the daily run of the day on moderate. Playing as Abby. Cool. But yeah, I guess to talk about the episode 6 of season 2. It's called The Price. Um,
Ready.
you said, "Nah, I'm staying around till the end." Nice. You're a real one. Um, yeah. Last episode, I mean, the episode before, like the last episode Kev plays when we were talking about the previous episode before the most recent one, I was talking about how it ended with the torture scene of Nora, Ellie torturing Nora, and it cuts away, and it cuts to a flashback with Joel and Ellie. I remember that being that's in. I remember saying like that was an very interesting choice compared to the game because at the game you're you're uh, delivering those blows with the crowbar, you're feeling like the kind of like the grittiness of like Ellie's like really like descending into like a sense of like real hell in kind of resorting to what Joel would do in this situation. Um, and we got that from Bella's performance. She definitely goes to a very dark place to deliver that scene. Um, but what I was saying was, oh, but then like in the game, you go back to the theater, and she's like shaken about what she's done. She got the answer she needed out of Nora, and in order to get that answer, she had to go to such serious uh, lows and great lengths to get that answer. Even if it means like uh, tarnishing a huge part of her soul in order to do it. Um, but it's interesting what they do is that in this recent episode, because that and I was talking about I was like kind of half jokingly but sort of like exploring the idea of the that episode was called Feel Her Love. Um, and and then how it's kind of like this like little it has a little bit of a sense of humor to it where it's like, yeah, Feel Her Love is in one sense a reference to like the cult of the Seraphites of their leader, but it's also about like what people will do to survive, or how love or hate impacts um, people. And Joel and Ellie, their love for each other was very strong, but it's based on certain little bits of nurture that are not that healthy in terms of like the violent behaviors and stuff. Ellie's learned a lot from Joel, and even from being, raised as an army brat in her, by Marlene and all that. She's learned a lot, and that's what this episode, this previous episode, I mean, this new episode does um, it opens with Tony Dalton, aka Lalo from Better Call, best known as Lalo from Better Call Saul. He's playing Joel's dad. Tommy and Joel, or Tommy's done something that he shouldn't have done. I think he stole something, and Joel says before their father shows up, don't worry, he's not gonna lay a hand on you. If anything, he's gonna lay a hand on me. Like I'm gonna take I'll take the blame here. And Tony Dalton coming in as Joel's father, he really brings this scene where, you know, he's not going to stray from what he's about to do. Yeah, like his father knocked him around. Like he explains, like when he did stuff that was wrong, his dad, uh, physically disciplined him, and and it was hard. It was like a punch in the mouth, and or whatever. And um, yeah, Tommy's probably gonna get the belt or something. And um, it's very interesting because then he's talking about, it's almost like he's saying, like, I'm doing it for I'm doing it for out of the discipline and the better good of what, of raising you guys, of, like, it's for your own good. And it's not something he's happy about. It's not something he even wants to do, but it's something it's how he was raised. And he delivers this great speech where he's like, when you get older and you become a dad, I hope you do a little bit better than I did. And maybe Tony Dalton as a father is doing better than what his dad did. And it's such a great scene, and there's like tears in his eyes while it's happening. It's like very real. Um, I just want to read what you said before. You said this is just a backstory episode. I thought it was a good episode. Oh, this is a very, like, to me, this is a very important episode. This is one of the in my opinion, one of my favorites of the season. Um, you said I thought it was a good episode. Also, dude, what's the guy from Better Call Saul doing in this episode? Yeah, he was pretty good. Um, I thought he's perfectly cast as Joel's dad. We never saw any flashbacks with Joel and Ellie. I mean, with Joel as a kid, or Tommy in the game. So we get that here. That's what I like about a TV adaptation, is that they get to explore things that we would never otherwise see, and it's for good reason too, because it ties in again to the very end of the episode, where, again, this is why I try not to be too critical of what's happening in the game versus the show, because last episode I was kind of like, oh, that was an odd choice that they cut away from the torture scene, and we don't get to see the follow up of that, because it played in one straight moment, or it cut like that. We saw that scene right after the torture scene when Ellie comes back to the theater. Whereas here they kind of used all the little Joel and Ellie flashbacks and sewed them together, so that, which is, again, in a way, a better way to absorb the story based on preference, because I remember one big criticism of the game is how the game jumps around in timeline. Like with like you know it doesn't feel, when you play the game, and it went over, like, for me it was a point of criticism the first time around. Um, it just feels like there's a mishmash of, like, okay, we're playing as Ellie in present time, and here's day one, and we're going through day two, and oh, here's a flashback to Joel and Ellie when they were at an earlier point, and it's like now we're playing as Abby, and oh, Abby as a younger, it jumps around the time, like there's flashbacks and present time and your different alternate characters' perspectives to the point where at first playthrough it was a little overwhelming to really absorb the story beats. This playthrough we just did on this channel helped me see what they were doing better as I was talking it out and playing. But in the TV show, we get to not bounce around as much. We actually get those flashbacks with Joel and Ellie in a more episodic nature that's more cohesive and very much more easier to follow. But it's not like they just like cut and paste them. It felt thematic to what the episode was trying to go for, in that it ends with Ellie going back to the theater, which I'm guessing is the next episode. We're going to see the repercussions of how she's feeling right now, get back into her headspace, or at least I hope we do. And it ties to the beginning of the scene where Tony Dalton playing Joel's father is saying, "I hope you do a little bit better than me." That's what Joel says at the very end of the episode when we finally get that porch scene. And for the most part, the porch scene played out exactly how it would. I think there was some little artistic liberties to the dialogue, but it was very powerful performance by both Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey. And and Joel saying in that final moment was, like, if you ever like, basically he says like, if I had to do it all over again, when Ellie basically calls him out on, what he did with the Fireflies, he said, if I had to do it all over again, I don't think I would change a damn thing. And it's because I love you, and I don't think you'll ever understand that. And if you ever are a parent someday, um, I at least hope you can do a little bit better than me, and make it's almost like he's coming to terms with this choice. He's not happy with what he had to do, but there's no way he could have strayed from that choice. It's almost like it was fate for him. Like it's just ingrained in who he is. That's how he would have reacted, if he had a hundred chances at it. And then you cut back when he says, "I hope you do better than me," and you cut back to the theater of Ellie arriving at the theater, and we know what she's done. She's tortured this woman. That's the final like punch to the gut, because it's like she's not doing at all better than she should be. She's descending, and it's tragic. And I thought that was really well done. I thought that made up for my like, oh, I think I prefer the game way of how they played it, but like now I'm kind of like, I like both approaches to how they approach the direction of how to tell that part of the story. But the middle, all the in between beats of the story, definitely well done. There was one moment where I was like, I did initially roll my eyes where Joel has a cake ready for Ellie, and he's about to get a knife, and he turns around, and she's like grabbing it with her hands, and I'm just like, is this like, I get Ellie is like, she's like a she's like a I don't know like how to explain it, but she's very random and she can be very quirky. But it felt like it was another one of those like copy and paste. Oh, Ellie's quirky here. Let's have her, you know, just be contrary for contrary's sake. That she can't wait 2 seconds to get a fork and knife. But that's a small nitpick. I actually think Bella did a very great job in this episode in terms of the emotional beats and the kind of the headspace that like there was a lot of important beats uh, that were being played that are being played in these flashbacks that I think she did a great job of, in terms of playing the Ellie who's initially kind of accepted the lie and is embracing the benefits of having it, of having accepted the lie, where she's brought, Joel takes her on a surprise trip to the museum with the dinosaurs and the spaceship, and Joel is giving her an experience that no one else in her life would ever give her. And it's a great, uh, wonderful moment between, like, a surrogate father and a daughter, or or vice versa. Um, Very well done, and I love that subtle moment where she looks to the left and she just sees like these fireflies over the pond, and that's all they give you in that moment. In the game, you actually saw like a sign, like the fireflies saying like it, like written in blood on a wall after like the after what was it, um the boar knocks them over inside or whatever. There's a moment where she kind of looks at it, and it's kind of like this like awkward moment where Joel see, and then Joel's like, "Oh, let's get out of here." They played it differently in the show. I liked it. I liked how I liked how it played a little differently. And then yeah, then Ellie is going through kind of a what seems like a teenage phase. Like she's a little bit more rebellious in as they jump like a year later. She's getting a tattoo. She's smoking weed. Obviously, we know the whole thing with her arm is that she's trying to cover the bite. She burnt her arm originally. I liked how in that first flashback where she burnt her arm, she Bella played so well being on painkillers, where you can see she's a little groggy, and also being kind of apologetic of what she's done, but also like there's like an innocence in her where it's like I just want to wear short sleeves again. Like all those small little details, you she conveyed it perfectly for me. Um, but then when she, the year later, she's a little bit more, she's taking a liking or taking an interest in like the imagery of like moths, and Joel notices this, and for him he's thinking, oh, like is it a firefly? No, it's moths, and it's his interpretation is like that it's supposed to represent like change and growth. But when he approaches Catherine O'Hara playing the therapist, she says actually it's a more of like death, and has more of a grim undertaking to it. And that's where you can see the moment where Pedro, where Joel is kind of like he could see that Ellie's sort of like starting to become a little bit more of a critical thinker, and more of and it's like she's starting to wise up to the lie and how it doesn't really make sense, even if it's not outspoken. You could see it on his face that it's like something's imminent with how she's rebelling more, and all that. You said also that innocent infected man. Yes, so the innocent infected man, who's played by Joe Pantoliano, or Joey, aka Joey Pants, as a lot of actors in the industry would call him. He's famous for playing Cypher in the first Matrix. He's famous for playing Ralph Cifaretto in The Sopranos. Great character actor. I it almost like it didn't take like I actually didn't even realize it was him, the actor, until like a little bit into the scene, because his character was just so different from what I'm used to seeing him play. It was like a very just earnest sadness of a man where he just wants to see his wife. Yeah, he got bit. He's very upfront that he got bit. He's just trying to make one last deal. It's very emotional. That performance is incredible by him. I really like that. I like when actors can be in a show, a show like this one that's based on a game, and um, be completely take it completely seriously. It wasn't just like a job for him. This guy's been working in the industry for like over 30 years now. Um, yeah, you said I felt really bad. It was, Yeah, honestly, it made me sad. I understood what Joel was doing, but again, it was like it was very interesting how Ellie stops him, saying like, just let him see his wife one last time. Like she does the test, like his hands aren't shaking yet. He's got time before he's gonna turn. Let me go back, get her, and we can we can just do this above board, as heartbreaking as it might be. Joel didn't have a choice. And I do like that they don't make it that Joel is just this asshole. It's like, nah, I'm gonna make the decision. It's Joel definitely entertained what Ellie wanted out of this and what he wanted out of this, but he knows at the end of the day that he has to be real in the situation, and if he can find an opportunity to give this man what he wants in some way, because he basically says like, or what the man is Eugene, by the way. The Eugene in the game is who has like the little pot stash, or like that basement with all the pot, and you read articles about him in the game. So this is him, and we learned earlier in the show that Joel actually kills him, but when the therapist calls him out on it, um, making Joel look like an ass in the beginning, saying like, you're not this great guy. Like what have you done now when it comes to what the problem is between him and Ellie. Um but when we see it actually play out, it was more human, a more tragic human moment from Joel having to put him down. It reminded me of Mice and Men, where there's two characters that where one has to be put down. Says like, "Oh, just look at the flowers," and then that's like the last nice thing that character sees. Very old book, by the way, so if you haven't read it, but um, yeah, of Mice and Men, you read it. It's a classic. Um, but yeah, and that I like how it plays in a way that's different from, or maybe something we haven't seen in the game before, but or in my opinion, it plays differently than the game because Ellie in the game um, goes to the Firefly Hospital again and kind of learns the truth on her own, confirming all her suspicions. Whereas this, it's like Ellie can kind of detect that Joel is feeding Catherine O'Hara, the therapist, the same horseshit lie that was fed to Ellie. You know, she knows Joel more than he knows, and she knows how he is, and she can see when she can match up that both of them are being worked. We're being worked with a lie. And I like how she draws those conclusions. It's not confirmed yet because she has to call him out on the porch scene. Like, don't, like, you have one more chance not to lie to me, because basically, like, and I like how when there's a moment in an earlier flashback where Ellie is prepared to approach him, and she has all these questions, and it's like a bunch of questions. Like, it feels like a bunch of questions like fans could, over the time from the first game and the second game, could have like theorized, like, if the Fireflies were able to see Joel and Ellie coming from like a mile or so away, how come they weren't able to uh, take on these raiders? How come they weren't able to see the raiders coming? And if the raiders were able to wipe out all the Fireflies, how the hell did Joel and Ellie get out of there? Um, Ellie is asking these questions out loud and she's rehearsing it. I like that. It's like one way or another, Ellie is gonna know, um, that Joel is gonna know that Joel's lie is like, Swiss cheese. There's really no foundation to it. Um, and then we get that. Um, but yeah, everything was played well. I like the space scene, where they go in the lunar lander, and um, the whole moon landing sequence that we get to see from our Ellie's like imagination, done perfectly. almost mirrored the same framing of the game, and that's just a compliment to the game itself, the way that that scene is framed. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, space scene was cool. They go on patrol together too, which was, like it's like finally when, Joel's been trying to keep her away from patrols, and they go on one, and then it just like opens this whole can of worms basically. Again, what I love about this show is it's not like The Walking Dead where it just feels like all the focus is on, the zombies and surviving, and that's it. There's no depth to it. This is more the genre of like, the infected is more of like a backdrop serving a greater story to me in The Last of Us, and I think this episode was an example of that. Other than that, yeah, I think it was from beginning to end. It was really well done, and I I felt a lot of emotion in this with this one. Um, I'm trying to. I guess if I think of anything else, I'll continue. But yeah, very well done. Yes, yeah, really nice episode. So we're doing our daily run here. Let's just start it off. I don't know what the rules of our daily run is. I was actually gonna watch this episode on my vacation too because the I was staying at a beach house. It was me and like 30 plus other people, like family that I have, like di- some distant relatives, some close first cousins and all that. Um, but in this like so like when you pool all your money together in the Airbnb, it's like affordable. But what was cool about this like mansion on the beach was, oh no, first of all, I would never watch a show like this on my phone. Like that's like, as like a cinema guy, as a TV guy, I never watch anything on my phone. And plus, I wouldn't have been able to like talk about it anyway because my PlayStation wasn't even with me. But what I could have done was I could have watched it on this huge uh, uh, big screen TV that was in a theater room. Like there was an actual theater room with like theater seats, and my two cousins, who are on my mom's side, uh, they actually were caught up, and they've been enjoying the show a lot, and they haven't even played the game. So I was really, I said, hey, if we ever find time, which is hard to find time when you're having fun on vacation, like to get everything right. I was like, if you guys want to go in the theater room and watch together, it'd be cool, And I'm thinking like it would be cool to watch from the perspective of people who have not played the game, because and people who are enjoying the show as is. That seemed pretty interesting to me. But we never really had a chance to. I was on the beach every day. I was fishing. I was riding the waves. Um, and we were all just having fun, like playing categories and drinking and stuff. It was fun. But I would have watched it a little earlier. I think I did it. Okay. Yeah, there was a lot of food. A lot of stuff we brought from home. We were able to catch a lot of fish. We got like tuna and mahi and mackerel and bluefish. So we actually were able to cook it right there. Like, which was cool. It's a trip that it's in the Outer Banks, North Carolina. Um, and it's a trip that we'll probably do like once a year. Like, we'll try to aim for that. But yeah, it was a fun time. But yeah, as other than that, I've played like no game since. I haven't even had much time to like listen to any of the podcasts I listened to. Although I did just
All
finish
right.
one with Neil Druckmann, with Colin Moriarty from Last Stand Media, and I definitely recommend, if you ever get the chance to. It's only 1 hour of an interview, and it gives a lot more perspective into Neil's process and how he's dealing with like, the response to the show or the game, It was an interview that came out like earlier this week, and it's actually very well done. It's a good interview if you want to get to know Neil a little bit more than how people try to paint him on Twitter. It's there's a lot more substance behind the man, I think. But yeah, heal on a melee hit. Okay. So any my speculation for this next episode, I'm guessing it's going to open up with Ellie entering the theater, and I'm guessing it's gonna be. Are we at day 3 yet? Um, and it's gonna end with Ellie kind of coming maybe as a cliffhanger head to head with Abby before next season, and then like next season is going to be like the Abby. I think they already confirmed. Craig Mazin confirmed that, and that next season's like the Abby season. I think Catherine O'Hara even said that. And by the way, they're talking about season 4 is probably necessary for to cover all of the second game, which 7 episodes into the second season, I say give them as much time as they need, you know, to and in the interview with Neil too, he said we're not going past the second game at all. So we're not going to have a Game of Thrones situation where they go past the source material and just becomes like you know, drivel. He said, "Bro, another season." I mean, if it was up to me, I think with how television has these short episode counts per season, you know, right now we have 7 episodes a season. I miss it when like premium cable or even basic cable would do drama series with like a 13 episode or 12 episode season. Even Better Call Saul having 10 episodes a season was like, you know, that's enough for me. 7 episodes, it's not enough at all. But if again, if it just means, you know, people are complaining that Ellie looks a little too young. Maybe by the time we get to Santa Barbara, um, sh- she'll have a little bit more, you know, of that adult Ellie in her. But you know, I think those are little nitpicks. I think they've been fine. I think the show's overall has been fine. He said back then we get like 20 episodes. Well, yeah, 20 episodes, 20 to 22 episodes a season were a norm in network television. So like say you were watching Lost or Fringe or House, a lot of procedural shows, you would get you would get that in a network TV I guess space. But it was always normal, even going back to like The Sopranos, that it was 13 episodes a season. Breaking Bad was 13 episodes, you know, minus the first season. At first and kind of the last part, 2 part final season. But 13 episodes was always like the sweet spot. Like right now, I'm still watching Boardwalk Empire. That's a 12 episode season. I miss when television would allow stories to kind of like have those longer seasons of production. I don't know if it's burnout or just because the way the streaming landscape is, where a lot of there's just so much opportunity for more TV shows to be on the air now, that they have to like meet certain budgets and they don't have the production value to stretch out stories in TV form. You know, like that's the thing with streaming, is that you don't have time slots anymore like it was on regular cable. Is that you can have an unlimited amount of television shows, but it's like quantity over quality, where you know you're getting all these shows but with less output from each one. That's a whole other discussion that I've had a problem with television for a while now. But it is what it is, I guess. Shiv recipe. I guess ammo would be nice. Yeah, let's get some ammo. You said, yeah, I don't know what happened. Yeah, you know, we're living in different times. But at least what I like about HBO is that they give creative freedom their to their artists and storytellers and and showrunners and writers. It's very similar. It's just that's always going to be a good thing from HBO. I also like that HBO at least releases their physical releases of their TV seasons. I have the first season of The Last of Us on Blu-ray, uh, and I'll probably pick up the second season too because I'm starting to see the second season now that we're getting more episodes. I'm starting to see the whole picture, and I'm liking the whole picture that we're getting. I know I have my criticisms with a lot of stuff this season, but I think it's something that I could swallow and be proud to still put the show on my bookshelf. Guess we'll go in the shipping yard with looks like Yara. Okay, invisible enemies. That's great. Oh my god, and we have no traps to put down. Alright, if this is gonna be invisible enemies, at least let me take whatever I can get. At least let me hide and don't let them see me first. That'd be nice. Is it infected or is it?
Quick. Get ready.
There's 3 more. I saw his shadow. Alright, Yara's got him. Maybe I can get this guy's ammo over here. Oh, they give me the prompt to dodge, at least. Alright, I don't like invisible enemies. I wish they were gone. I like the first time we played this where we didn't unlock that mod, so they don't give it to us. I guess it's the daily run, so... Let's see what we got.
Watch out!
Alright, they see me, I don't see them. I love how Yara can see them, but I can't. Okay. I don't like I don't like this. But I guess Yara could see them, apparently. Alright, so this is a burst shot. Let's see how we do. Melee kill 2 enemies. That's not happening. Not when they're invisible.
Heads up!
You can see their footsteps at least, that's good. 2 more. So I'm guessing after the next episode you will start your new game. That seems to be the plan. Which will be nice, a nice change of pace. I don't know what I'm doing. supposed to be two more people left, but I'm guessing they're stalkers because they're not coming at us. There we go. Teamwork.
Wow. Thanks.
Okay. Please no more invisible enemies before this before this run is done. I hope you get like one invisible enemy encounter per run, and that was it. That was more doable though if you just stay in a corner and you kind of have your teammate with you. I guess we'll continue our list. What are we looking at though? Alright, so our top 10 list for 2020s, for 2020 games of the 2020s. My list so far is number 10, Helldivers 2, number 9, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, number 8, Chivalry 2, number 7, Ghost of Tsushima. And your number 10 is Kirby and the Forgotten Land, number 9 is Psychonauts 2, number 8, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, and number 7, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. It's interesting. I said last time that I'm in this kind of like video game music showdown game on a forum on No Homers Club this year, and I submitted Crash Bandicoot 4 Run It By You, and it actually made it past the first round against. It went up against a track from Toy Story, like the first Toy Story game, and then Astrobot I also submitted. It was like the first level theme that actually lost, which I was kind of saddened by, but it actually lost to a good theme. I think it was the title theme to RoboCop on Game Boy, which was kind of very surprisingly relaxing and catchy. But the only reason I'm bringing it up is that Kirby and the Forgotten Land, someone submitted a soundtrack from that one, and that also made it past the first round, which is cool. What we got? New upgrade branch, precision. All right, so I guess I'll go into my first. What is my number 6? That number 6 is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, which came out this year. We said, yeah, the Forgotten Land soundtrack is really good, and it's actually I voted for it. It was either Kirby in the Forgotten Land or some like Pokemon battle music from like one of like the newer Pokemons, and for me, like Kirby in the Forgotten Land was actually better. It was more preferable to me. But yeah, yes, I literally just played that game, but it's a game that while playing, I was like, this is going to be a game that's going to stick with me for probably forever. There's a lot to this game that's just so like, because it comes from a European studio, their budget is better. So all the money they made on the first game, they're able to be, like their budget is better because their cost of living is better in Europe. Like the inflation the way the economy is in Europe, it allows there to be more return from what they get, especially since they were like a small studio at the time. So with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, there was just so much more. Like it really feels like I'm playing like Red Dead 2, but in like medieval Bohemia. Really awesome game. It's a game at the end I actually shed a tear for. Like it was very, like one of the ending scenes was very emotional to me, and like very few games have done that for me. I think when I think of like the games that have done that for me, I think it's I mean, The Last of Us Part Two is very emotional for me. There was a moment in the first Death Stranding that got me teary eyed, and there's some other games, but there's not many games that make me actually like tear up, and this is one of those games. Yeah, so you ride a horse in this game. That's a big part. You rode a horse in the first game, but it's like you can buy better horses, based on their stats. Some are better for racing. Some are better for have better courage, so they won't like buck you off off their back if they come into danger. Um, some are just can carry more supplies with them. There's so much more depth in this game. I mean, even the first game was like that to a degree, but this game it's like you have to eat properly, you have to sleep properly, um, you have to heal yourself if you've been like poisoned or you're fatigued in any way. You have to brew potions that can cure certain illnesses for yourself or for others. Um, there's so many quest lines that when I was playing it with my two friends, they didn't even see like nearly half the side quest or anything because of course I was playing all as much as I could because even me who was like a completionist I think the trophy for it was like just beat like 80% of the quest or play 80% of the quest because a lot of it is very missable and that's what sort of the point of the game is that you're in a living breathing world and that like just like real life you can miss things. um it definitely takes a lot of inspiration from like I'd say like like games like Skyrim, but it's in a realistic setting, not a fantasy setting. And yet the game feels kind of like it feels just as engaging as a fantasy setting would be. But also the narrative is so strong and intelligent, and the characters are so much fun. Like the entire cast of Kingdom Come Deliverance one and two, it feels like you're playing. It feels like you're watching. Well, it feels like you get to play like a really great television show where they have this great cast and like very memorable characters. This game made me laugh out loud. Um, just as much as it made me angry or frustrated or fearful um, or like I said, like or teary eyed. It's definitely a game that like every beat of it is taken very seriously, but also there's a levity to it where it could be absolutely hilarious. Um, definitely recommend a game like this. Stability. I guess I'll go for stability. You said it looks like a cool game. You said and you said so it's like one medieval show, the game, basically, and done very well. The character of Henry, who you're playing as, Henry of Skalitz, as he would announce himself, is probably one of the more memorable protagonists in games for me. His buddy Hans Capon, um, is a great like companion type character. So many great characters get introduced. It's full of twists and turns. It really does feel like it feels like you're living in this world. Like literally, you can become like a blacksmith, and you literally have to like make sure not to miss your hammer on the sword as you're doing it, and you have to heat it up correctly, and like that's how like deliberate the game is. But it's surprisingly fun too. The archery is fun. Um, you're collecting all these different remedies like you're picking flowers like you would in a game, but like there's also so many other things you're doing. Uh you're working on your survival skill, you're hunting. There's animals all over the place just like in Red Dead. um and yeah, the quests, when there was a city I went to where I was like, I can't believe they were like, just like how Red Dead Redemption 2 was kind of praised for like how every NPC is, if you follow one NPC, they're actually going about an entire day for themselves, where and little random events can happen and stuff like that. Like there's one city that's so huge and bustling and full of life and people, and every single person is doing their own thing, and you can interrupt it in any way you want. And you can get in trouble with the guards and stuff. And oh my god, the being able to one of your skills is speech. So if you ever get in trouble with the guards, you have like a skill check where you know, if you're good at like if you're knowledgeable in a certain subject, or you can convey a sense of like emotion very well, or you're you're good with combat or something, they'll skill check you, and they have like the most hilarious like excuses for Henry to get out of a situation, like where he'll just make up the most like uh stupidest lie ever, but he sells it so well that the guards just like, okay, just don't do it again, you know, if they catch you stealing or something. Um, really great sense of humor the game has. It really is a game of a generation type game for me. Like it's a game that wasn't made to pump out, you know, another game just to make money. Not to say that games do that, but like this game, it feels like it was made for people to enjoy for a lifetime to come with how big it is. It doesn't feel like a game that needed to be made because that's just what how you keep the lights on at a developer studio. You could feel every like all the passion and love that went into this, and the research that went into it too, the historical context to it, political context, and all that, all the culture and everything. It really is a beautiful game, gorgeous game, better, more refined than the first game in every way. Even the combat feels a little bit more smooth, a little bit more accessible, but yet they still don't stray from what made the game very unique in that every little thing you do has to like you are kind of like learning from scratch. They do an interesting thing from the first game to the second game where um, your skills are kind of stripped away from you because of an event that happens. But for the most part, I say the second game is actually easier to get used to than the first game. If you're trying to get into the series, the first game when I played it last year, it's very rough. It's a very rough going because you gotta like you got to be basically become good at what you're doing at all your skills before you really set out into the world, or else you're going to leave yourself with a lot of headaches. And I learned that was something I learned from the first game going to the second game. But even with the second game, there's a little bit more refinedness to it that it feels like it could be more accessible to even a newcomer. But yet it's still not trying to it's not holding your hand in any way. It's still something you need to work at in order to do. You said yeah, the second game really improves on the first game, definitely. The because even going back to the first game, like the character models just look very basic. Um, Even for it to be running, like I played it on a base PS4, it was at times it felt like it was chugging along, like you know, like that game almost felt ambitious for the PS4. Whereas with the PS5, um, playing on the base PS5, it was doable. And by the way, they just released a new DLC for the game that's really big. I haven't even had a chance to play it yet. I'm actually very interested in doing so. You say yeah, maybe it's the PS4. Um, and yeah, the version I got for the PS4 was like the deluxe edition, I think. So like it had like all the extra DLC on it. Okay, so we just have to survive the attack. Stun an enemy with a brick or bottle for a gambit. You could try that. I'm guessing this is humans, the rough things. Not humans. The hell? Oh, they explode. And I don't have my I don't have my machine gun for some reason. I don't think they know where I am.
Shit!
Whoa!
Holy shit!
There's one left. Okay, I gain health when I do that. Let's get this axe. Oh, forgot about that. Oh, I'm still being hunted, I forgot. Sorry, I'm just being a little quiet. Oh! Woo! But yeah, that's my number 6. Is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. There's a lot to that game that I just love. It's a very long game. My friend is already playing a second playthrough of it because, I mean, I think he went through it a little quicker because he didn't do all the side quests. So that's what's kind of cool about the game is that even with me having done all the side quests, there's so much replayability to the game because there's so many ways to go about it, to go about how building your character and making so many choices you can make that are different from the other. That's why I haven't platinumed the game because there's a lot of choices I made that just weren't that were just, you know, it was just my own experience of the game. Like it wasn't something that was meant to, you know, you can't complete everything or see everything in one playthrough, even if you try to go about it as thorough as possible. But that's what's cool about it is that it just feels like it's like, you know, a new thing almost every time. But the story is very well done. One of the biggest themes of the game is fortune favors the brave. It's about, I would say, you know, I talked a lot about the game in the spoiler discussion episode that I did on the Chivalry 2 episode. But just to wrap up, um, the first game was about kind of like, you know, kind of like the origin story of Henry and like him trying to find his. I guess it was kind of a what's the word, what's the term, coming of age story. Whereas this is like this game was more of less of a coming of age story and more of like a figuring out your path story. It's like, okay, you've come of age, but it's like, okay, what do you do with that now? Like how do you, you know, and that felt very resonant, just like in real life. You know, when you grow up, it's like, you know, you become who you are, but it's like, okay, well then, but how do I apply that to the real world? How do I how do I make a name for myself that's like, you know, this is what I'm great at, and this is what I can you know, this is what I can offer to the world, or like, you know, um, the path that I can go down that, you know, for of greatness or whatever. And that's what that game's about, and that's why I like it. You know, it plays into that theme and and tells a very wonderfully crafted story from beginning to end. Definitely a game of the year contender. Absolutely, it's going to be very hard to beat, but I know there's some great games coming out, so it's gonna be a great year. Anyway, but that's my number 6. You can go into your number 6 whenever you're ready. We're still on this daily run, by the way. We're actually getting pretty far into it. Let's see what we got. Let's craft my axe. That'd be cool. I like how you can like unlock, like get an axe in the game, and then and then you still have it with you when you bring it back. Momentum versus Aim stability increase. That will give me hold breath and faster aim movement. Whereas this is momentum. After killing an enemy with a strike for a short time, your next melee attack will also be a strike. I like that. And this is momentum lasts longer, 70% duration. Let's go with that. And then we still have enough for stability. Bing, bang, boom. You said your number 6 is Hades. From what I understand, Hades is very similar to Returnal in that it's a roguelike. Am I right? I've heard wonderful things about this game. I think you were telling me about this game a while ago. Not like maybe a handful of episodes ago. That Hades is a really cool game. Yeah, like what do you like about it? And that game, when did that game come out? Was that 2020 or 2019 around there? He said, yes, if you die, you go back. I'm talking all the way back. Wow, okay. Yeah, I think Returnal might be different where it's like different. I mean, I haven't played enough of it to really know, but I think it's like you you you're trying to go through a biome, and once you complete that biome, you're on to the next biome. So if you die, you go back to whatever that next biome start is. Whereas this, you're saying you go back all the way back. Um, it takes me back to when I used to play like Crash Bandicoot 2 with, and I didn't have my memory card yet when I first got the game bundled with my PS1, and I like lives actually mattered, and I would try to play the game as much as I could. It felt very like it felt very arcadey and almost like a roguelike where it's just like how many levels can I get to? Like what can I get to that I've never seen before? Like oh in this playthrough I'll choose a different level instead of this level or something. You know, that's the closest to like my first roguelike I think I ever played was when you just didn't have a memory card with you, you know. And that's basically how it used to be like with coin operated arcade games is that when you ran out of lives, you got to put your coins back in and start from the beginning. It didn't save your progress. But you said 2020. Okay, so I was right. Um, what is the story like? Dude, I'm guessing the story is something, right? Is does it have anything to do with like Greek mythology? Because I'm thinking of like Hades, like you know the god of what is Hades the god of? It's kind of the god of the underworld or something, right? You said it's a really cool hack and slash. Um, you play as Zagreus, who sounds Greek, who is like a chill version of Kratos trying to escape hell. Interesting. Which is interesting too, because in the first God of War, you go to Hades and you're trying to escape hell yourself. um, that's cool. Which makes it even more interesting for the genre to be a roguelike because it's like you don't want to start back to where you are in hell if you die. But there's some sense of hope, I guess, if you can get through it. Now, did you beat this game? Was it doable for you, or did you find it a little too punishing? Not so much in the concept of having to start all the way back, but more so that like it just felt manageable. That like maybe it was just like little mistakes that could trip you up and causing you to die, and then having to start over. You said, "Hell no, I haven't beaten the game." But I like that. I like that there's games that you just never know the ending to because it's just more of like a you know it's possible. Maybe it's not. I don't even know. But you know that there's more the game offers more content the the more you can have the ability to progress, and that's interesting. It makes me think because being at on the beach for a week now, I was thinking of when I had to read Moby Dick for school for college, and that's a book I never finished because there's like 1,000 pages in that book. And I remember like you can be like on the 400th page and like Ishmael hasn't even left the dock yet to go whale hunting. Um, and I remember thinking like I can't do this for school because they're expecting me to read this book for school when I'm taking all these other courses. So like it's not that I cheated. I think I just wrote. I think that I think the professor just said like just write about the book as much as you have read the book or whatever. I don't think he expected us to finish the book. But I always found that book interesting in that I never actually left the shore in the book. Um, but there was just so much to take in with the book that it felt like in real life when you look out into the ocean, it's like, yeah, I can go across the ocean right now if I was crazy enough to, but I'm not going to, at the same time I respect the scene. I respect the painting that I'm looking at out into the ocean. That it's like this vast, beautiful thing. Um, and that's kind of what I would feel the game is like in a sense, where it's just like that you can cross that ocean at some point. It's possible. You can you could put if you're determined enough, you can do it. But at the same time, it's you can kind of just appreciate it for what it is, for how far you get, or admire it for what it is. I don't know if I'm just like talking on my ass, but it's just like I like I kind of respect the idea of not having to finish something like, and that it doesn't really matter if you do or not. What do I want to do? Let's get some traps. You said I was on the second to last world. You said it's definitely doable. I can do it, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. Yeah, there's so many great games. Like, that's what with Returnal. It's like I was enjoying the gameplay of it more when I tried it recently, but I was like, I can't. Like, it's just I still don't understand the progression of the game. That was my only hang up with it. But yeah, that's cool. So you're on the second to last world. Randomly, when you go in the dungeons, gods of Greek mythology will help you and give you a boost. Ah, that's cool. Silencer recipe. I don't need a silencer recipe. Actually, yeah, what the hell? Get a silencer recipe. View and crafting. And then we'll get more ammo, I guess. I actually have a lot of spendable stuff here. I guess I can re-roll if I wanted to. For 3. Yeah, why not? Get another health kit. Got pipe bombs galore. Let's do it. You said the game's camera is like a top-down isometric view. Okay. Interesting. So, I'm guessing it's kind of like League of Legends in a way, in how the camera is. Is it like point and click, or like to where you need to be, or are you controlling it kind of like Kratos, like the more top-down Greek PS2 games, Kratos? Not, you know what I mean. Not exactly Kratos. You said the guy's name is Zagreus. What else? Let's get some more pipe bombs. You're directly controlling. Okay, so you're using like the thumbsticks and stuff, the joysticks. All right, well that's cool. And gameplay loop is a lot of fun, and I'm guessing, regardless if you can beat it or not. And what would you say the soundtrack is like? Is the soundtrack, I'm guessing, like similar to God of War, or do you think there's a distinguished soundtrack here where it kind of has the Greek hellish vibe to it, but maybe in a different way? Or you say, yeah, yes, it's very fun. I think I'll do the hospital with looks like Manny, or the streets by myself. It's a capture with rattlers. This one's holdout with infected. Yikes. I feel like they're gonna give me like some weird, I don't know. I think we've done good with capture on our own, so let's try capture. You know what? I should have done the infected because I could have put trap mines down. Yeah, I don't know if like the soundtrack or anything else stands out to you, or if you have anything else to say. You said the soundtrack has this rock feel to it. I don't know how to describe it. Okay, is it similar to like say like Doom 2016? How that kind of has like a... Oh god. think I have to kill these guys by the time limit. And I don't have any stealth weapons. That's not good. Okay, all these guys are over here. This guy's over here. Oh, they have guys on chains from the Rattlers area. This is happening. I just unlocked one. But I have 1 minute.
Watch the infected!
Hold on.
We found her! Over here!
Four left.
Don't let up!
Oh god. Two more. Hold on. One more. I like how they labeled this person's over here. There is God mode, which reduces your damage, but I leave it off because that mode is for babies. God mode, which reduces your damage. Okay. So yeah, play it any way you want. That's cool. Alright, we're good. We're making it past this daily run pretty well. But okay, yeah, unless you have anything... Oh yeah, you said you get weapons like a sword, shield, and bow. You can only stick to one weapon, with one weapons per playthrough. Like weapon set, I guess. Interesting. Yeah. Like I said, like God of War Valhalla, the DLC for Ragnarok was really fun. Probably my favorite roguelike that I've played. South Park Snow Day was probably a close second. And then Returnal, it's like I just wish I can get behind it a little bit more. But it's a little bit too unforgiving in how it tells you you're progressing, even when you die. Whereas the others, I had a sense of like, okay, I can do this next run because I'm starting to get a little bit better with my stats or something, you know. But that's cool. I'm glad that Hades is a game that works for you. Oh yeah, you said 2020 came out. Okay, so very early in the generation here. You said yeah, that's my number 6. Good pick. I guess I'll go into my number... What is it? Number 5? This is a game that I think is, in my opinion... I think this might be one of the best looking games on the PlayStation 5 right now. And it's... There's some going for it that I really love with this game. And it's just so gorgeous, but also the gameplay is so much fun too. That's Horizon Forbidden West, the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. So this came out in 2022. It's a game that it's the last game with Lance Reddick playing as what was his name? Um, I'm forgetting the character's name already, but he's a awesome in it. Aloy was a little bit less. It's almost like her character took a little bit of a backseat in terms of like being as substantial as she was in the first game. Like she feels more like a vehicle for the story rather than as a compelling component. You said I need to get into the Horizon games. There's so much to these games that are like so awesome and so unique and fun. Like I said with the first game, it feels like it's like a fantasy idea or concept, but it's really rooted in science fiction that's very well thought out. Um, Being like this post apocalypse. Um, and shotgun holster. And yeah, it's just what else? What I really like about this second game is it goes into, and this isn't really advertised in any of the trailers or the marketing, but the second game goes into a science fiction concept that's really, really, really interesting to me, and um, it's such an out there idea that it's like I almost like I sometimes I still can't believe that they went there because they could have easily in any other game or sequel or anything that kind of explores what they're doing here, it could feel like in a sense jumping the shark a bit, but it's actually very much rooted in what the game's premise is, and it explores this new thing in this game with a lot of consideration and uh, to the point where it sticks with you, and it makes you think even in general about what's happening in this game, or what can actually happen in real life. Um, uh, there's a new character in this game played by Carrie Ann Moss, who's best known as Trinity from The Matrix. She delivers an incredible performance in here in this game. Um, there's a lot of emphasis on like the future and art and like the human experience in this game that is very cool and explored very well. Um, but yeah, the gameplay loop, when it comes down to just what the basic gameplay loop is, you're shooting these robot dinosaurs and you're trying to chip away at all its parts with your bow and arrow and stuff. And that sounds so like on paper that sounds so absurd, but when you play it, it is so addicting and fun, and how every animal is like, or every machine is like a different type of animal. It's almost like you're collecting Pokemon in the game, in how you're coming, or like, or it feels like it's like there's just this catalog of different creatures you can come across that you need to learn different strategies on how to take them on, and go about it. And some can be more insane than the last one in terms of like how in terms of its combat, or even in terms of like its difficulty level. There's so much more here. This game is so gorgeous in the way that you can just like you're in the like tropical kind of like the uh what on the western side of the US. Yeah, because obviously, the game is Forbidden West. So you're basically going west, more west than in the first game. And there's a lot of tropical settings, as you might see from the trailer. Um, there's so much here that's just so cool and interesting to see. Um, the capacity. Let me see what you're saying. Hold on. But yeah, this game, and especially its DLC, it's so gorgeous. The DLC has a part to it that, yes, Horizon Forbidden West is open world. It's a big open world. The second game has a lot more layers to the open world than the first game. You can play like an in-game kind of like I guess what's the word? Like a turn-based RPG like board game in the game that actually is inspired by like the real life world in the actual game, so it feels like a game within a game that you can get to play. Similar to how like in Red Dead, you can play like um, dominoes or blackjack or something. Like there's more depth to the game where like you're playing, you get to play little games in the game. There's obviously like the hunting grounds where you have to like um, beat a wave of enemies within a certain time frame and try to do it with a certain weapon or something. There's little cool things that are just like supplemental to the game. Like there's sections to the game where you're just racing on a kind of what quote unquote horseback, where it's like a little like a race that you can do, um, which is like a side mission. Um, you said I've heard this game did get DLC. So yes, this game got DLC. Not only like this DLC was really fun, but it's also host to one of the most crazy moments in video games to me. This moment in video games, if it feels like a moment for me where I'm like, wow, this is what the PS5 generation is going to be capable of, or can be capable of. It's something I've never seen in any video game prior to this release. It's similar to like when I said I was playing Uncharted 2 and you're in the building and the helicopter shoots a rocket at the building and the building starts to tilt and fall and everything inside is like ragdoll, like all the tables and everything are ragdoll and you are ragdoll, yet you still get to control your ragdoll movements. I remember that being a big moment in video games for me where I was like, wow, like games can do stuff that can still surprise me. There's something in this DLC that's so big and massive and like insane to me that I can't believe more people aren't talking about it to this day. I know people were talking about it when it came out for those who played it, but there's something in the game that's just so to me that it just made my jaw drop. I was like, I can't believe video games can do this. This is insane. Uh, and Guerrilla Games, known for Killzone, they're the ones making this game. So hats off to them. I think they're doing a great job. I think a third game is definitely necessary. Um, it's definitely necessary because there's a cliffhanger at the end of the second game. So you pretty much know there's going to be a third game. And once we get that third game, I'll be satisfied. Because I think it's a very it would be a very well done trilogy. But yeah, I recommend it. The music in the game's great. The game, just the graphics, everything. Like you get to, like at one point you get to fly on. Usually you have like they introduced in the second game a glider that you can glide from. That Aloy has in her pouch, but also you actually get to like take control of like flying robots, and they can dive underwater if you want and stuff. There's so much like maneuverability in the game that's so cool. And the game just like explores a lot of cool things. There's a lot of cool like collectibles you can get where they're like fragments of like our current day that you get to read as like collectibles. And there's little like references to like I think there was like a reference to like kind of like Jurassic Park or something, like you get a lot of references to like the real world media or movies or shows and stuff. That's kind of interesting what they do. um but yeah, listen mode, hold on, sorry. Listen mode, movement speed, and then listen mode isn't really that important to me. Hold breath. Hold L3 while holding to hold your breath, steadying your aim. Is that? I guess I'll do movement speed. And then listen mode clarity. Enemies can seen in listen mode show up and yeah, let's do that. Okay. I think we're good, right? Did we get everything over here? But yeah, that's my number. What is it? Number 5. That's my number 5. Is Horizon Forbidden West. The story is. I think I enjoy the concept of the story more than the character journey of Aloy. But Aloy's still fine. It's just that she's kind of like, I don't know. I have some criticisms with the game in terms of how they handle her character a bit, but it's very nitpicky and minor to the greater game that it is. So I think my main criticism is just that like you can't. I don't know. Like I get that because in the first game she's established as an outcast, and in that first game you actually get to prove yourself and you get to do an incredible thing for your tribe, for all the tribes in like the area and stuff, and you get to like show that you're not this just like you know outcast to be discarded. You are actually like very important to this world. Um, Whereas the second game, it feels like that importance kind of goes to her head, and she has a little bit resentment towards her people, even her friends, which even when they want to help her, she kind of like pushes them away a bit. And I get that that's makes sense for the story and for her character, but it just comes off like it's constant, and that there's never any sense of it always feels like she's just like I'm here for this greater purpose and I must fulfill that purpose, rather than like I think she needs to learn to to appreciate what she has in the moment, in the present. Maybe the third game can kind of rectify that and kind of bring it back home. That would be a cool little like character arc for her a bit. But in the second game, it becomes a little much. And I think just like the God of War Ragnarok, it ran into the problem of like characters having to explain things a lot when you're trying to do puzzles. Uh, I don't know what notes they were taking from at the time, from like maybe some Sony execs that the game needs to be crystal clear what you're doing or something. But it feels like it just like God of War, it's like they need to tone that down a bit. Too much talking, but yeah, that's my number five is Horizon Forbidden West. And yeah, well, whenever you're comfortable, you can go into your number five, and then we'll probably end it there. I'll probably be done with this run by the time we're actually doing good in this run, by the way. Capture, open the safe. Okay, that's not bad, because usually you kill a known enemy while holding another as a hostage. Your number five is Ghost of Tsushima. Excellent. I think I listed this already as my like number seven, right? I think. So yeah, tell me what was your takeaway from Ghost of Tsushima? Brilliant game from Sucker Punch. Came out 2020. And now that we know it's a complete story of it's Jin's complete story. Ghost of Tsushima. Because as we know, Ghost of Yotei is going to focus on a completely other new character in a completely different timeline. You said I killed my uncle at the end. What did I do? I forgot what I did. I might have done the same? I think I did the same. I remember my friend was playing and he said he was unhappy with that they were given the choice to do that because it felt like it became more of the player's story, not Jin's story. But I don't know, I kind of like it. I like that there's that the story branches off there any way you slice it, and that it's going to play off still thematically to what led up to it. Alright, let's put these people to bed. No. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Holy shit!
Fall. That was almost certain death. I failed to do the safe.
Easy now.
At least we don't have to do the safe in order to complete the encounter. You said, imagine if something like that was in The Last of Us 2. What, where you killed your uncle or killed someone at the end that... Oh yeah, like if Ellie did something where she had a choice at the end, maybe like kill Abby or don't kill Abby. But then I think that would take... I mean, again, maybe that's a point of criticism of Ghost of Tsushima, is that people felt like it should be one thing or the other, or that it should have only been one thing explored. Um, Whereas but what I think makes the not killing Abby so special is that it's kind of a subversive thing compared to how Joel did not allow Ellie to. What's going on?
Casey, do a quick sweep. Yeah, on it.
Joel did not allow Ellie to sacrifice herself. Oh, shit. You know what I mean? Like, Joel makes a decision that's very unexpected, whereas that's the same thing that Ellie kind of does.
We're gonna fuck you up! Right over here!
Out of all the stealth games I've played, this one is my favorite. That's what I love about Ghost of Tsushima, is that you can try to play honorably as a thief and not go stealthy and like show yourself.
I got it! Fuck now!
I got nothing.
Fuck!
Hold on. Hold that thought. Where'd she go?
All right.
One person left. Yeah, because like I said, you can go about it honorably and show yourself to the Mongolians, or you can go in stealthy and plant all these like little trip mines or like little like stealthy stuff.
Got you now!
But the stealth was so much fun and that's what the game's called. The title is called Ghost of Tsushima. Is like, Jin kind of explores these different methods of combat.
There you are!
That goes against his teachings and his culture. Alright, let's end this part.
Goddamn.
Nice try!
Damn it. You say I like the whole history lesson with the Mongolians. Yes, definitely. Another game that is great with that, I thought. Any game that can kind of teach me something, like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, or even God of War with mythology. But I like this real-world history that we're getting with, feudal Japan. Definitely cool. Counter complete.
That's that.
Take as much stuff as I can because this next one's gonna be a boss fight. Yeah, Ghost is awesome. I talked about it a lot, but I can't. I'm trying to rack my brain what else I can say, but you're like, man, I'm struggling what to say. But yeah, because we talked about it in length last episode. But yeah, a lot of fun. You know who I really like too is that I guess they're not. I guess the character's not going to be in the next game at all. But I really like the comedic relief of that one. I think it was like it wasn't the brother. It was kind of like this, like because we know the brother of what's her name gets killed, which is very tragic. It was very unexpected to me, by the way. That was like a moment in the game where I was like, wow, this game is definitely a samurai, like this is definitely like a war between the Mongolians. Like they're not, it's not like an Uncharted game where it's like pulpy action and you get to kind of like, it's like a tour de force of a history lesson without actually having to deal with too many crazy consequences, where it's not too brutal. But yeah, but there's that. But there was also this comic relief character who's kind of like a swindler. And he talked very funny. I forget what his name was, but I liked that character a lot. Other than that, I liked writing haikus, and I like writing haikus and having, even though they have fixed sayings, I really took that seriously when I was writing my haiku. I wanted it to make sense, um, in a way, or like try to like, because like it's giving you this like profound message at the end of it, and I wanted it to make sense in a way. And even when you try to figure out the different things, you're getting different meanings out of it, depending on how you construct that haiku, which I thought was really fun. So I like that one. I like the one-on-one fights. Yes, I like the little option. When you first draw your sword and you can like get the draw off faster, that you get basically like a free kill. Um, it was always fun to come into random encounters with people because obviously it's going to build your combat abilities and stuff. Um, you can work on your skill tree and all that. But yeah. What else can I say? Is I really like the characters. I'm looking forward to what Ghost of Yote is going to offer. What
Okay,
you know,
progress.
I think we're playing as a woman named Atsu, who's kind of like, um, she's going. They revealed some trailer where it's kind of going to be kind of like a revenge story. It seems, um, which will be interesting because how many revenge stories can you tell with while keeping it fresh? We're playing one right now at the moment. Um, but you said, yeah, that's my number five. Excellent pick. I think, yeah. Like I said, we're gonna have some overlap with these. But great picks nonetheless. And Hades, also a great pick for your list. What do I want to do is my question. I guess listen mode range. And then let's get into this boss battle. Maybe we can actually get a boss fight done for once. I guess we can try finishing the pistol off. We don't have much to work on here. Stability, okay. I liked getting into those hot springs too, like finding the hot springs, and then you get to kind of like like Jin will have a little moment of reflection of like depending on what point of the game you are in, you can decide what you want to actually reflect on. Those little things are so add so much to the game for me. Like that's what I love. Like I like that there's like a tranquility to the game, beyond just beyond the brutality, that comes with it. I have to get around to watching Shogun again because I tried to get to watch it and I don't know, I fell off it. I have Hulu at the moment, so I probably could soon. But at the moment, I'm like watching Boardwalk Empire. There's The Last of Us, and now I just started the White Lotus on HBO. But Shogun is supposed to be like if you like Ghost of Tsushima, Shogun is a great show. One of the main characters is from Lost, from like the later seasons of Lost, who's really cool. I really like the actress who plays in it. Um, and they like swept at the Emmys. So now that they all swept at the Emmys, I'm kind of like, okay, I was on to something when I was trying to watch this show. It's not just me. Like it's actually like has this like, uh, not just critical appeal, but a cultural appeal that speaks to more than just one. So I'm all about that. Um, let's get this. Let's get more trap mines because we're gonna need it for whatever we're up against. Give me some pipe bombs. I'm looking for anime shows to watch, so maybe I can. So maybe I can find a samurai anime. Okay, that'd be cool. Yeah, I'm like so out of the loop when it comes to anime. I know I've heard like One Piece is a very long but very good show. I know what's that show? Death Note. I've heard is really good. The Simpsons did a really cool parody in a Treehouse of Horror of Death Note, which was like in the same like art style, which was really well done. That episode actually won an Emmy. Um, but yeah, that. Let me know if you find anything good. All right, we're going to the resort farm. We're going up against a boss, the Rattler Captain, and he looks like he has some type of helmet. Let's do this. Let's beat this guy. I have yet to beat a boss. We came up against a boss earlier where it was the bloater in the arcade.
What's the story? Fucking anyone got anything?
I got fuck all over
He
here.
said when it comes to
Sure
anime,
we're secure, damn
I'm
it.
not watching shows that are 1 million episodes long. Yeah, there's a lot of them. Or there's some that are just like full of spin-offs. Like I know Pokemon is like, you know,
He's got something.
more of a kid show, but
Smell something, boy?
oh god. They got my scent. This is not good.
Right here!
Just put it into this dog. Okay. Rover! I hate killing dogs in this game.
Another angle!
Alright!
Got her!
They can't go through the fire. Health packs don't really do much, I'm noticing. They give me partial ammo.
Move in! I got her! Motherfucker! Get her!
You're fucking...
Oh my god. This is too intense. I'm done. Oh my god, it's too much. These bosses. At least I put up a fight. Alright, when it comes... Yeah, so you said that. Alright. Oh, what can I do? It was a good run. For a daily run, too? I didn't even get to do my normal stuff. I think next episode we'll play as Joel, finally, because I did unlock Joel last time, I think. But damn, yeah. I guess we'll end it here. We got our 2 out of the way. Here's my score. I'm 2,669th on this daily run. And everyone's run duration is so much shorter because I've just been talking this whole time. More talking than playing. But, you know, that's what this channel is, pretty much. Alright. He said, damn. But yeah, we'll end it there, I guess. Unless there's anything you want to add for Ghost of Tsushima. New skin unlocked. Vintage Naughty Dog. Press triangle and character select to get the skin. Oh, it's the classic Naughty Dog mascot from like Crash that you only get to really see in the Crash Bandicoot 1 opening. Naughty Dog intro. You said, yeah, that's it for Ghost. Okay. Cool stuff. Did we unlock anything else? No, okay. Other than that, he said, "Oh, nice shirt. Looks familiar." That's such a throwback. I love that Naughty Dog might not have the rights over Crash Bandicoot anymore, but at least they can give a nod to something we saw in the first Crash Bandicoot. So that was cool. But yeah, let's recap our list before we're halfway through our list. All right, let's do this. Yeah, my number 10 is Helldivers 2. Number 9, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Number 8, Chivalry 2. Number 7, Ghost of Tsushima. Number 6, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Number 5, Horizon Forbidden West. And your number 10 is Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Number 9, Psychonauts 2. Excuse me. Number 8, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. Number 7, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Number 6 was Hades. And number 5 is Ghost of Tsushima. Cool. Excellent list. Yeah, I'll as soon as I end this, I'm gonna start watching the next episode. And I imagine you might do the same. But so I'll get out of here. Popa Pig, it's been a pleasure. Anyone out there who wants to like, comment, or subscribe, it's greatly appreciated. You can subscribe to Kev Plays 9490 on YouTube. And follow me on Twitter at Let's Watch Series. Other than that, stay safe, stay healthy, keep a clear head, and keep on gaming. And I will catch you all next time. Hopefully very shortly after this final episode. Maybe, earlier in the week. We'll see. And yeah. Good times had by all. We made it to the boss at least. Another boss. We didn't even get to see the boss really, the Rattler boss or whatever it was, but we saw all his underlings. But at least we made it. Anyway, enough of my rambling. I'll catch you all next time. Peppa Pig, have a good one. Enjoy that finale.